So as you may have seen, I just recently received back from Springfield Armory my XDS 45 3.3, which I've had for just over a year. And I had mentioned that, oddly enough, I was just thinking about doing a video for 1 year of ownership with the Springfield XDS, and lo and behold, right about that exact moment, Springfield said, hey, you need to stop using those and send them back. So that got put on hold. So now, in addition to the opportunity to just do a 1 year review of the XDS, I also have an opportunity to do a post-recall review of the XDS. So what you are about to witness is going to be the very, very first shots I take after having received this back from Springfield with the repair. There's definitely some change to the trigger. I'm very anxious to see. I've heard some things. I want to see for myself just what the changes are. So I'm going to reholster this guy for a second, put on my ears, and let's take the first shots post-recall. Springfield XDS, 1 year with this gun, in sickness and in health. I got my XDS back from Springfield. Didn't seem to be any of the worse for wear, and it was obviously updated with the fix, and that was evident from the new roll pin in the grip safety. What they also changed inside, to my understanding, is that they changed the sear spring, and the connector. So, when you think about the sear spring and the connector, basically what they did was a trigger job on the gun. Obviously it was safety driven, and it had to do with the fact that the grip safety was not operating properly to reset the trigger, and so forth. But with all the things that they upgraded, replaced, and changed, they have essentially done a fairly sophisticated trigger job on this gun. And even before I received mine back, it was fairly evident by all people that had commented that there is a noticeable change to the trigger. So I was really anxious. Maybe anxious isn't the right word, but I was really looking forward to observing for myself what differences there are. So I have now put a couple hundred rounds through this gun since I got it back from Springfield, and I definitely have observed some differences with the trigger. So I'm going to try to tell you a little bit about what I have observed and quantify as much as I can. To quantify, if we can, what has changed, what if anything was done to this gun. To me, what's different about the trigger, the first thing I noticed, I did some dry firing obviously immediately, and the trigger feels more crisp on the break. It feels like about the same take up, but the break is much more crisp. I mean, it's like you've crushed a small vial of glass. It's just a really nice break, and I'll demonstrate that for you here. And also the reset is much more tactile. I don't think it's a shorter reset, but it's just a much more pronounced reset than it was in the past. The full cycle. We have a cocked set trigger at rest. Here's our take up. To there, so here to here, and break. Crisp, clean, no over travel, no spongy feel whatsoever. Reset, right there. And then again, crisp, very crisp break. So let's measure this. So a 10 pull average is 6 pounds, 9.5 ounces. Okay, so what do these changes to the trigger and the grip safety and all this stuff, what does this translate to in terms of shooting, if anything? I did experience what I perceive to be better shooting as a result of the changes that have been made. I feel that I'm shooting tighter groups in general. The crispness of the trigger, just the smoothness of it. There's no grittiness in it. It's got a nice, smooth, albeit firm pull, and then that very crisp break makes me shoot better. And that very nice tactile reset is certainly a big help when you're doing any kind of rapid fire. But let's look at the target that I was using, and I shot some different types of ammo here. So let's take a look. First, right in the center, and I've just got a yellow folder behind this thing for visibility, so we can see the hits a little better. So, okay, so with our colored backer, yellow backer behind it to make the shots show up. The first group, and this was a group, I believe, of about 15 rounds, and these are Just An Opinion hand loads. So basically this is reloaded ammo, my own recipe, and it is 230 grain full metal jacket. It did very well. I had, like one flyer here, a little bit of it looks like a group of 3 or 4 low, and then the rest of them all right there in the center. So this one you can chalk up to me. This one probably too. Might also be me. But you can see definitely very accurate. And this is at about 12 yards. So, and this was at rest on a bag. Now the same shooting situation, same position, rested on a bag. I moved to here, and I just shot a small group. This was actually just 4 rounds, and it was like 4 or 5 that I was shooting here. And this is PMC Bronze, 185 grain jacketed hollow point. And they did extremely well. I mean, we're a little bit to the left, we're a little bit in the 9 and 10 o'clock position, but what a nice group. And again, same distance, so at about 12 yards. And then we move down to Blazer Brass, and I actually have 2 strings that I shot with using Blazer Brass just because I had a bunch of it to go through. And you can see that ammunition didn't really perform all that well. So it wasn't really intending to be a review of the ammo, but compared to my reloads and compared to the PMC hollow points, the Blazer Brass did not do very well. But again, still a respectable group, but not nearly the accuracy that we got out of the others. And this was the second group of Blazer Brass. And again, it just, it did a little better. Maybe I did a little better. So it didn't do badly. We're within a 3-inch group, which isn't too bad. The Springfield Armory XDS in 45 ACP. I've had this gun for a year. What do I think about it? What are my conclusions after a year of carry, shooting, recall, repair, all those things? Well, taking all that into consideration, first let me rate this as a carry gun. That is really the purpose. That's where this gun excels, as a carry gun. So in that respect, it is ideally suited. It is extremely thin, especially when you consider the caliber of 45 ACP. This gun is as thin as most extremely thin 9mm, and thinner than many 9mm. So you've got the extremely slim quality. Then on top of that, you've got a very short grip handle. Both of those things make it ideal for concealed carry. But there's a trade-off. In order to get a very thin 45 ACP with a very short grip handle, you have to sacrifice capacity. And so we have our 5+1. So you, with a standard magazine,
impressive.
Most rounds you can have is 6, and with the extended magazine, you have the 7+1, or 8-round total capacity. And that's what you sacrifice with this very thin and very short design. So my point is that this gun excels, in my opinion, as a 45 ACP. Now it's available in the 9mm as well, and as far as I know, it's still coming in the 40 caliber, 40 Smith & Wesson. But when you get into 9mm, you have a lot of competitors in the arena that are just as thin, smaller in many ways, shorter certainly, and even in the 40 caliber, 40 Smith & Wesson, there are a number of competitors in this size that are small, thin, lightweight. Once you get down in caliber, then you open up the floodgates of competition, and then this gun may not all of a sudden be, you know, king of the hill. So I think where this pistol really thrives is in the 45 ACP. And in 45 ACP, I don't think you can do any better. So as an everyday carry gun, I give a big thumbs up. I do give my recommendation to the Springfield XDS in 45 ACP. And that is in light of all recent events and a year of ownership, a year of carry, and a year of shooting. If you're okay with a larger caliber and less capacity, I don't think you can find a better carry gun in this size than the Springfield XDS. And that's my opinion. All right, so the recall, all right, the elephant in the room, the XDS recall. What do I think? Well, I put a video up at the time the recall was announced that it was informational, but you know, I did interject some opinion and what I thought at the time about what I knew at the time. And after 3 months, here are my thoughts. I think that Springfield did the right thing. I think that they took a situation that was bad and they didn't allow it to get any worse. And I think that's, you know, that's all you could ask. So I'm not going to criticize them for getting all the pistols returned as quick as they could, even before they had a fix in place. I know that's an easy criticism to make, and I'm not gonna fault people who make that criticism. But I'm not going to make it because I think in their mind, they did what they had to do. They put safety first. And, you know, whether it was bean counters making that, you know, whether the lawyers made that decision for them or not, they felt that they needed to get these pistols back right away. Now, I was critical at the time of the recall, at the time I sent my pistol in. I was critical about the logistics and the information. I thought that was handled poorly, and I stick by that opinion. They could have done a much better job informing the customers and providing more logistical assistance. Does the recall affect my opinion, ultimately, about this gun? Do I have any owner's remorse now that the gun's been recalled? Well, the answer is really no. The same things I liked about this gun when I bought it, I still like about it. Those things still apply. It even seems to shoot a little better, and that's, you know, I think the trigger is nicer. I've already commented about it. I think it's crisper and cleaner, and I shoot the gun better, for whatever that's worth. Does it affect my view of Springfield guns in general? A little bit. A little bit. There are still some Springfield guns that are on my list of guns I'd like to own, but they've moved down the list a little bit. Some of the things that were wrong, you know, with the gun that caused this recall are, in my opinion, things that they should have discovered before these guns were ever mass produced and shipped out. I mean, those were, you know, some of the tests that they could have done should have been done. And so the recall really should not have been necessary. So yeah, it's a consideration, but I do remain open-minded. Like I said, there are some other Springfield Armory guns that I'd like to own, and you know, one day I hope to, but they're a little lower on the list than they used to be. And I had some other experience as well before the recall. I had a broken striker guide on this pistol, and I had to replace that. Now, Springfield did handle that very well. Their customer service was exemplary. They got the part out to me quick, and I got it replaced, and it was no big deal. But it still was a broken part. It was a part that should not have broken, and it was something I had to fix. So, you know, basically in a year, I've had to replace a broken part, and I've had to send the gun back to the factory, and it was gone for 3 months. So the gun has 2 strikes against it, and I'm keeping it, and I will continue to carry it, but it is on double secret probation.